So back in District 9, right? Christopher and his son now, they're looking for the canister, but they can't find it, right? And then now you get this, we go back to the mockumentary stuff, right? So this is where you see the mech suits, right? This is, a mech suit and, there's a bunch of other weapons.
Right.
The Nigerians
right, that Nigerians have here. So they foreshadow the mech suit.
yes, exactly.
When is Chekhov's mech suit?
Yeah. And I like that it is a much improved design than what you saw from the short film, right? Because, there was a mech suit.
Right, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. And, just in terms of, I forgot the gang leader's name, right? But I like that
I forget his name too.
Yeah, I like that he have the suit there. And just basically to intimidate the aliens, because they're coming in to buy shit, right? They come to buy cat food, but they have this mech there, so like, oh, you fuck around, we'll kill you, right? But
right, so basically the idea is you can't rob the police.
Exactly.
Rob the police. Point. Yeah.
But they don't know how to properly use it, because I think you see the mech suit move a little bit, but they don't really know how to use it properly, right? Because
because they didn't make the right. Because they understand the connection. They also made the connection that how you need alien biology for the tech.
Yes.
It's that kind of thing. But like at the same time, you're not sure what's going on. Right. This brings in a bunch of other world building issues about the aliens and who these aliens are. Are they just like workers on the ship? What happened with the ship? Was it deliberate? Like what happened there with the ship exactly? And how it is the aliens can't get their shit together with respect to social issues, but they could build weapons somehow. So on and so forth. So it bringing a bunch of questions about it. Again, it's not like plot holes or anything like that. It's just it's just discrepancies that the world building have to fill that we never get to see because we want a sequel, Neill Blomkamp or whatever.
Look, I don't think this should be one, but I'll get to that at the end. I don't think this should be one. Whatever, right? So near the end of that scene now, one of the aliens who come to buy stuff gets his arm chopped off, right? And then they get into this great bit of exposition, right? And I love that it is the psychiatrist character that we've seen before. And she talks about how the Nigerians now basically eat the body parts now because
this part I'd imagine being like very controversial, but this is real shit because this has happened to if I remember correctly, it does happen to actual African albinos in Africa.
I didn't know that.
An albino in Africa, that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
That's a whole like witchcraft kind of thing. So it's a whole him, engaging in the thing and gaining powers, and that's a whole actual history. Again, there's a lot of it is we can get into this debate about how a lot of anthropology is laced with racism and so on. So, but it was part of Agada. This was like Neill was on the point with this one. So
yes, you're right. But I like how it's.
I should have people with many of his essays. I'll tell you if I'm wrong or not on that. But you can look it up. So but at the time I remember there's been that. That has really happened with people like that.
Yeah, and it feels logical too. Like how they describe it is like at first you take it. Because they say it, right? Oh, it's meant to treat like shit like diabetes and high blood pressure, right?
Right. But, usual magical thinking.
Yeah, but in the case of the gang now, it's like, no, they want to be able to use the weapons. So they feel, they consume these things, the body parts, they have the power to use the guns. And in a twisted kind of logic, it makes sense, right? It actually works. It actually makes sense, right? And it actually... It's
the whole alchemy... It's the whole evolution of alchemy thing. Like, if it's possible to do this, but it's possible, but not the way you're doing it. Yeah. And we learn later that it is possible, but why?
And as I say, right, because it's a subtle hint at what to expect with Vickers later on in the film, right? So speaking of Vickers, boy, this scene was rough, boy, because the man come home and the wife there with her there was like, yo, how's the day? Yeah, it's like, look, I just want to go and take a shit because the man out there, right? And then they with one thing lights, and then surprise! It's like, wow, could he get promoted there?
Right.
Boy, like the discomfort that man feel at that point, I was like, yeah, boy, rough, right? Yeah. But narrative-wise, I love that this is a great way to reintroduce Vickers' wife, his parents, and then the father-in-law. Now we'll get to him later, right? And it just. Who's
the actor playing the father-in-law, boy? He's shit we from boy. It's the boy. God, no face, Oh shit, he was in something after.
Let me find it.
He by Lord of the Rings or something. Not Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or something like that. Because he was in stuff after. Because he just always play, evil white man.
Right, his name is William Allen Young. I'm not familiar with this guy at all.
Right, well said. It's a boy. I don't have IMDb in front of me.
Well, he was in a bunch of TV shows, but like a bunch of TV shows. He made a lot of appearances, right? That's really interesting, right? And yeah, things get bad to worse, boy, because they give the man the cake, and it's like, yeah, you know what I mean, man, puke over that shit, though, black puke, and then he pass out, right? And then things get bad to worse from there, because right afterwards, he wakes up on his hospital bed, and boy, this scene, the doctor start cutting the cast thread. And that reveal of the claws, right? That make me, I jump at that too.
Yeah,
like, me watching this a couple days before doing this review, I jump at that too, like, shit.
Before I see so much sci-fi that you knew that was coming.
I know, but it was I think what makes it so effective is how the camera lingers on like the two of the three claws coming out now. Like you just see it move on its own there. You know what I mean? I jump at that though. It worked, right? It's some alien chest
I saw this movie with some friends. Yeah, you're not alone in this. I remember seeing this movie. Alright, so I see this movie 3 times in theaters. Or 3 times. No, guess what? I saw it.
I saw it once. So
once in theaters. No, I saw it once in theaters, but what happened is that I remember it had a power outage. So they gave us back a refund, so you had to come back to see it another time. I went and see it with some friends another time and saw it entirely there. And the friend I was with, she jumped. Like jump hard with that dread. I'm like, okay, that cracked me up too. It's how much she jumped. Like, well, already, it's so surprising. Okay, if you say so.
I know, you see it coming, but I think again, it's just the reveal of the claws. So that catch me, that really catch me. It's really some chest boost, that kind of shit, right? And then, boy, some MNU guys show up and literally body bag him. Like, they put the man in a body bag.
Yeah, one day.
And carry him out to the hospital and put him on a chopper. Like, wow, what's going on here, right? And here's where you really see just how insidious the MNU is, right? So, they basically start torturing this man, right? Because we're really focusing on the arm, right? And they really emphasize that it's half of his body that is mutating, if you will, right?
It worked here. So basically, there's the answer to the question he was looking for. Because what happens is that they clearly couldn't... Because here's the thing, they would have statistically, like, again, this is another world-building question. If the weapons thing is so important, then how come they don't want actual prawns to control the weapons? Why they don't hire prawns? It clearly have prawns who, for lack of a better word, cogent, right? But that's the problem. Like, they wanted the human side to answer the question, to solve the problem, because they could have never used the weapons, and they never figure it out, Like, why is they couldn't, we see later that, but again, world-building questions that they don't answer because it's already background anyway. So is that.
Yeah, which is fine, right? Yeah. And, while they're doing all this torture and stuff, they actually find the canister because, he didn't really think about it, right?
Right.
But, it was in Vickers' jacket, right? So he played there by accident, right? And then, boy, they bring him into this weapons testing room, right? You saw that during the whole montage thing where they was testing all the weapons, right? And, they like force him to use the arm to power the weapon, right? And boy, there's this really disturbing scene, really disturbing, right? Where they bring on like a alien, like a prawn too.
Yeah, a random innocent person,
Bust shot, boom, the man blow up, like, god damn, right? What make it even worse though is that the man fucking father-in-law,
father-in-law no business at all.
Everything, man, like, wow, boy.
Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah.
Like, I won't lie. Like, you thinking Vickers is naive at first and an asshole, but boy, you really, really do feel sorry for him at this point, right? And then, like, this is conversations here, right, where, like, they just study what to do there because they realize that the infection gonna eventually take over Vickers' body and he'll eventually die, right? So, he was like, here's what, we just gonna harvest his body. We just literally gonna rip him apart until there's nothing, and in order, basically, to replicate that ability to power the weapons.
Right.
And
you see a piece of information, you see something later that references what they was doing that for a hot minute now.
Yes.
But because they didn't like make the connection. They, because they kind of find the answer now. Like, well, at least closest to an answer. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And what I was about to say, boy, is that Vickers' father-in-law signed off on that, boy.
Yeah, he in business.
Damn, son. Wow.
He don't hate this lowly nobody. You married the daughter anyways. Like, yeah, fuck this man.
Yeah, boy. Jesus Christ, right?
Yeah.
So, as the procedure start now, well, Vickers start to fight back, right? And I love, it was something that kind of stood out to me the first time I see it, but watching it again is totally justified though. Just how pissed off this man is. This man just dropping like F1s. It's just like, fuck you, fuck at this point, right? And it makes sense, right? The man pissed off, like,
right. Well, I don't think it applies that Right. Well, I don't think it applies that the aliens seem to have much more physical strength than the average human. You know, because we see later something they do. And like, oh right, they're way stronger. Like they're much stronger. So it's implied that their physical strength is about that of a chimpanzee also.
Okay.
You know, which is much stronger than a human physically. Like in terms of raw physicality, they're more dangerous. It's just in the end of the day you could use guns and whatever to kill them. But you know, right. So him fighting his way out of this was like not like too far fetched or anything like that. Like that's that right. He overpowered multiple people. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And yeah, from there he's on the run, and basically he's public enemy number one in Johannesburg, right? From this point, right?
Right.
There's a genuinely derpy moment, Dread, when the man go back to the same chicken and chip place for food, you know?
Right.
And they're like, us. Why, Dread?
Of course, he had to do the whole, you know, propaganda stuff. So it's like, oh, well, the reason why he's like that is because he had sex with an alien.
Yeah, he had sex with an alien, Dread, and dog. Yeah. Like, what I love about this scene, right, is that you're not sure if is the MNU feed them that information, or if it's the news station themselves who do that.
No, right? It's all right. That's your point. Is that MNU running and controlling, you know, the thing. Again, all of this is the real world building of it, you know, in that sense of, you know, corporations run news and you know, to cater to, especially drug companies or whatever. It's like if you watch Fox News and MSNBC now, how much goddamn, you know, pharmaceutical commercials you'll see or whatever. It's the same thing.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's in conceit.
Also, I love Dread. Just little minor details I love Dread. You notice that all the customers, everybody inside there, including the cashier, are black, right? But what I find funny is that, you know, the cashier say, "Oh, I'm gonna go speak to the manager," and he happened to be a white man. The man show up with a shotgun and chase him out, right? But is the moment where Vickers says to the cashier, "You are legally obliged to serve me."
Right.
Again, Neill was cooking with that script, you know?
Yeah.
That's why it was nominated, folks, for Best Adapted Screenplay, folks.
Yeah, he's such a bureaucrat, man. He's so clueless, though. Like,
yes.
Like, you know?
I just love that line, Jen, because it makes sense, but they're like, no, we don't want to feed you. Look at you having sex with aliens, right? Right. And then there's this blinking and missing joke, Jen, going back to propaganda, when it says, if anybody spots him, they should contact this number, which is 0800 Stop Vickers. I like, wow, boy, like, dog. This man really have it bad. The man really have it bad at this point, right? So yeah, ironically, the only place Vickers could hide from the MNU is District 9. So he sneaks there under the cover of night, right? And I won't like just seeing him as this human alien hybrid and a white man in these conditions is a great contrast to when they saw him earlier on, you know, trying to get the aliens to sign these stupid forms and all that kind of stuff, right? Plus, there's a moment when the man even eat cat food and all that too.
Right, yeah, because he started grieving.
Yeah, the man you see, like, his teeth start falling out, right? And boy, I feel sorry at this point, you know. My wife called him Dread and say that she kind of done with him, you know, Dread.
Yeah.
God, I feel sorry for this man. I actually feeling sorry for this man. You know? So the body horror fun doesn't stop there, right? So, but this is really funny, because you saw it earlier on where you see these guys selling meat there, you know? And yeah, the man just like grabbed this machete, seal a machete, and then he tried to hack off the arm, but I think he just chopped off one of the claws first. And
that's a test. Yeah. You realize it fundamental to his biology at this point. You know?
That's true.
Not like
so he's feeling that pain, right?
He got it, exactly.
Yeah. So after that, that's when he sees like these choppers, like a whole set of MNU choppers showing up, right? So yeah, the man duck out, right? But it's so funny that he ducks into the shack where Christopher Johnson is, right? And his son is there too, right? And that's where we learn that there's a ship hidden underneath the house. We presume that it is a command module that they might have used and expanded to be like this fully functional spaceship.
This solved the question, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's here or if it's another time where he say how he make a kind of racist statement about the prawns, because like they assume the prawns was like dumb, no?
Yeah,
or not intelligent.
He says that when he goes in there, like, wow, like you prawns are smarter than we think, or something along that line.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which yes, I mean character-wise it makes sense because he kind of he has xenophobia. He's a xenophobe, so it's like
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's the casual racism of it. You're not thinking about the scenario at all, and that is why you are the way they are. You don't think about it. Like you literally don't think about it. He just living the life. He living with privilege, and he don't think about it.
Yeah.
So you make him the protagonist in that sense.
Yeah. And on a side note to this, one thing I love just aesthetically about this movie Yeah, it's how it leans a bit into Afrofuturism, right? There's this whole idea that, in this, this poverty-stricken area, you're just taking bits and pieces of parts and, you're building tech and all that kind of stuff.
I forget who did a movie like this recently.
Not a Neptune Frost film that you...
Neptune Frost, yeah. Saul Williams, I think.
That and Jesus shows you the way to the highway. Yeah,
but I'm talking about there's an African, a black filmmaker was part of it. Yeah, Neptune Frost. Yeah, he was the guy who. That was what I was trying to think of. And yeah, I want to say like a Neptune Frost with actual budget. No, that would be interesting to see.
Oh yeah. For real, yeah. And then
because we get to that is effectively the Matrix franchise, I suppose.
Yeah, true. Yeah, with that cyberpunk aesthetic, right? But you learn that the fluid now was really supposed to power up that ship, right? So they could fly back to the mothership. That's the goal, right? And then, according to Christopher, they could, they say that, they could actually fix Vicus's hand in the mothership, right? You could kind of tell, like, just narrative-wise, it's sort of like a precursor to what we'll see in Elysium. You want to get better, you got to fly up there. And you have the technology, right? Boom, right? So, now the man have motivation, right? I'm going to help these aliens get to the mothership so I can fix man, right? So, it makes sense, right? I just love narrative wise, right?
So I forget why they had to go back to MNU to get the canister, right?
Yes, because they took it from Vicus's jacket, right? Yeah, but I just like the dialogue between Christopher and Vicus in the scene, right? It's something that you're not supposed to question. I know there's some aliens say, so how come Vicus talking English and the next one talking alien and they understand each other? It's like, it's a sci-fi. Fuck you, it doesn't matter.
Well, okay, so world building. I didn't get this sense. I got this sense.
Okay, I thought you had an issue. Okay, I thought you were about to say...
No, I don't have an issue with it. I got the sense that one Vicus knew the language. That was his job.
But then now, if you say that, then you have to assume that Christopher knows English too, but then the question will be, how you know English? It can't just be off of the Nigerians because they were talking in Nigerian and
he know English. No, I get the sense he know English because they set up that earlier because he was talking about the contract and him not wanting to sign. He said, hey, this fella looks smarter than me, implying that he's illiterate. But he was always speaking to them back in his normal language. That's what I kind of got from it. However.
All right, well, that's actually a good point.
Yeah, to me, answer these questions.
Girls that will come and say, well, how do you understand each other here? That would make no sense. Sure.
No, they answer these questions in these little small details amicably. I felt that was always there. I didn't have an issue with one way or the other. It had bigger questions that I had issues with, but like it's not that. These are not the questions that I had, right? Yeah.
Understood, right?
Right.
And the body horror fun doesn't stop there, right? So, afterwards, you see, Vicus is shitless here. Yeah, you see, his skin start peeling off, drip, because you see, skin already removed from his back and chest, right?
Right, so, this thing's got to transform him entirely.
Yeah, you see, the alien flesh there is like, ugh, goddamn, right? But I mean, on the positive side of things, I mean, the wife called basically to apologize and she want to give him another chance, right? And that pretty much motivates him to take action, right? So, his plan now is to break into MNU, steal the canister and give it back to Christopher, right?
Alright, we forgot about the side character though. What's this guy's name, boy? Oh god, the military guy. Just cracked me up though, but he's so that rare, plenty South Africa, that Rhodesia type military types who was just like him.
You're talking about the Colonel Kubus.
Yeah.
He's like the main body in the MNU group.
Right.
So he's like all tough and
like dude boy. What's clever with the sequence is that he was now planning to come for them. And he's now talking about the plan, and right when that happened, they strike there.
Yeah, the strike. I love that. You just see the MNU soldiers, just busting through, they think they have them, they found the spot where they at, right? And then they cut back to the MNU building.
And they hear the explosion.
Yes.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, right, so going back to the whole reveal about alien body parts and how the Nigerians eat them, right? So there's this creepy bit, right, where, Vicus come and ask them for guns, right? And a bunch of them, the leader and the goons just start cutting them drip with that knife, right? And they start licking the blood. So oh well, because the idea is that they think the blood will make them powerful too, right?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he is the answer to the question. It's like, wait, if a human could use his weapons, how? This is possible now, no? Like, oh, a human could use a weapon. In this, we get to see a really cool weapon, this kind of weird white shockwave gun. That was a cool sequence.
Yes.
Yeah, that
looks I love how early on one of the men make a joke and say, oh, it's you that guy who had sex with an alien.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
I think it was either there or when he went to get the meat, for example. Okay, yeah, the man was going and buy food. Well, he was going and buy meat there, right? So I forgot to mention that, right? Yeah, so anyway, the gang leader's like, fuck it, I want an arm trade. And then, well, the goons start beating him up because they want to get the arm, right? And then, well, yeah, he gets that gun that you mentioned, right? And for me, right, I assume it's energy waves that blast off or something like that, right? Yeah. That, for me, have a very Half-Life look to it, right?
Total Doom weapon.
Yeah, well, yeah, Doom as well, too,
straight out of Doom.
But I mean, like, just the design and the sort of whitish color, it really reminded me of Half-Life, those kind of weapons, right?
Yeah. Like that's why it worked. That kind of junky feel to everything, like especially Half-Life 2 and the Half-Life 2 sequels, right? Mm-hmm. It's that kind of junky, homemade kind of sci-fi to it.
Yeah, kind of plasticky, but it's not plastic. But like, the design looks plastic, but we know it's not that, right? But it's almost like a DIY kind of design. That's the best way to sum it up, right? Yeah, so, the goons give him a bag of guns and Vickers leave, and, well, the gang leader's like, I'm gonna find you, right? So, yeah, as I say, the MNU soldiers hunting down Vickers, and, let's go back to, Neill and, his clear fandom for shooters. Yeah, there's a shot where you see a camera strap onto the side of one of the guns, right? And I swear for, like, the life of me, I think that's, like, the first time I ever saw that in a movie, where, like a first-person shooter, it's not like in the middle, bottom of the screen, but it's to the side now, you know what I mean? But it's a cool shot, right? We see it all the time, but I think this is like the first time I ever saw that in a movie, right? Anyway, so surprise, Vickers is not in District 9, he's actually at MNU with Christopher, and yeah, they actually attack, right? And I'm not going to go into details with what happens, boy, but yeah, the scene is bad. It really does feel like you're watching some third-person shooter game, right? There's a moment where Vickers, and he had the same gun, right? Yeah, like you just sticking this all energy waves and shit. The man like fire off this beam and it blow a man into pieces, dread. And Christopher yells out, "Fuck us!" I was like, "Word, yeah, that's perfect." Even the alien not reacting to this shit, right? Even though he would know how the weapon would work, right? In retrospect, right? And I just love how kinetic the action scenes are. Well, this is sequence and how intense it is, right? If I just have one gripe with the sequence though, is that at Swift, like for me, we did not see Vickers and Chris get the canister, But where the story stop.
I get the feeling there's a bunch of things because I get the feeling it would have a chase of some sort, like some. Like if it had more money, they sort of have a big chase, like that escape from MMU back to District 6. District 9.
9, yeah. Because I mean, I love in the intensity. One thing,
right? They stop for a dark moment where
yes, where Chris sees this he sees this he sees like this charred body of an alien. And
you see all the experiments, like all the whole room with all of them doing all that stuff. We see all of them like playing with. We don't know what they're doing, and all of this, playing with flesh and all the body parts, however it is.
Yeah, and I love that Vickers is saying, "I didn't know," but we need to stay focused, right? But yeah, they didn't show where they actually get the canister, right? Because just out of the blue, they in this the car park, they see like MNU van and they're driving off or whatnot, right?
Right.
So yeah, they drive back to District 9 and well, Chris and his son start to make their way into the ship, right? So Vickers then he asks him, well, how long the procedure will take to fix his arm, and Chris say 3 years, but first he have to save his people, right? And it's totally justified why he would say that because of what he saw with those experiments, right? So yeah, the idea is that he had to go back home, get help, and well, Vickers had to wait. But Vickers, being a dumbass, knocked Chris out, right? And I understand, the man angry. He felt that Chris was selfish, but oh gosh, man, like I really think Chris, of all aliens, right? I was almost say of all people, could put off saving his people just to fix your arm, like bro, come on, right? Anyway, so Vickers activate the ship. And it's also thanks to Chris's son because he's there, he kind of tags along, right? And it makes his way out to the ground and into the air, right? And also I should mention too, what did we mention earlier, the VFX in this movie still holds up, right? The beauty about it too is just how it how it blends with the realistic settings. That's
exactly.
All it is.
No, you see, that's the thing. A lot of VFX is more the art of it rather than some objective, amount of pixels or whatever it is, processing or whatever it is you need to do. This is why something like Ant-Man, third Ant-Man movie, Quantumania, could look like shit, because there's the artistry behind it rather than the money or whatever it is, right? You can have something look very expensive and a ton of processing power behind it and still look terrible because you have to know how to do the art for it. Why this a simple trick to make this work is haze. Like all the smokiness of the atmosphere, that just make it work. That is, take off all of the details that you would see otherwise. That's smart. That's why you have to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I always love the ship in the background with the blur and the distance. They just seen this huge object showing in the background. That's why you have to do that stuff.
Yes.
It's really, really, really simple art, craftsmanship now.
Yeah.
Good craftsmanship matter more than your money. Sorry to say it. I something like this could look so good with $35 million.
Yeah, and even better, all this shit happening in daytime, bro.
Right,
exactly. See the detail. You could see the contours and everything. Everything is in detail. I love that. I love that, right? But yeah, because trying to fly the ship and MNU just fire one missile, boom, and it crashed, right? Yeah. I love that. The Nigerian gang watches was like, he across the road, right? We're going for it, though. Yeah. So Vickers and Chris are arrested by the MNU soldiers, but we're not sure at the moment if Chris survived the crash, right? Because, they just took out, Vickers and Chris, but they didn't know about Chris's son that was there, right? So on their way now to District 9, could they take it, out of District 9, could they take it back to MNU now? Yeah, basically, Vickers and Chris are in different vans now. Yeah, the gang show up and they just start busting shots at them, right? So, Vickers gets captured and by the gang. Chris is left behind, and surprise, Chris's son is still alive, but he's activated something now related to the mothership, and you'll see what it is in a bit, right? So back to Vickers. He's back at the hideout now. The goons going to slice his arm off, and then outside now you have the shootout between some of the gang members and the MNU soldiers, right? So you go back to Chris's son in the ship now. He activates his thing on the mothership and it lets out this literal sonic boom, right? So going back to VFX, boy, this shot alone is amazing. You see the mothership, right? It lets out the boom and you see in like this wide shot of like the city. So you see buildings, right? And swear to God, all the windows of the buildings shatter, I watched that scene like about 3 times, like, how do you do that, boy? With the budget you called 35.
Yeah, they're not a blend shot something, no. Yeah, they're not a blend shot something. And again, let's be clear, it's because Neill Blomkamp. A big factor is because of Neill Blomkamp behind the scenes stuff. Like, I sure you get a lot of the stuff on the cheap or you don't really have to pay, or he could have probably just do the work himself. The infrastructure was there for him, so I can imagine him. Why this movie so cheap? All things considered, for it to look as good as it is.
Yeah, but that shot in particular, I would love to see how they do, because if you look closely, I swear you saw traffic, you saw cars moving.
Details.
How they incorporate that real footage, bro, I need to watch behind the scenes for this, right? Anyway, so the mothership itself starts moving closer towards District 9, right? So suddenly the mech suit now activates, and in this smart bit of writing, takes down everybody that it sees as a threat, right? Excluding Vickers, because he sees them as an alien, right? So going back to video games now, we have this badass moment, right, where the goons just start firing at the mech, right? And the mech just uses his gravitational pull to collect all the bullets. It is ball, He just fire all of them back, like,
like that.
And for me, this is Neil Beautybot saying, look, let me just make a film adaptation of a shooter now, please.
Is a kid wake up the mech, right?
Yes. Because cause he activates something in the mothership, and that activates the mech as a result, right?
Right, automate the mech, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even the gang leader that real dread too, because the mech just fired his bullets, and it had like these wires attached to it, and it just sent a shock, boom, and it blows up dread. I was like, wow, Neil cooking, dread. He cooking with this movie, right? Anyway, so a couple of MNU soldiers, they started to interrogate Chris, right? Well, one of them is, the guy, Colonel Coops, right? Who is like the main body and all of this, in the MNU right now, right? And some more soldiers now try to smoke out Vickers from the hideout. But Vickers does this smart thing now, actually a genuinely smart thing, and jump into the mech suit, right? So instantly I take it, this is like a rated R Iron Man we're gonna get here. Like, alright, cool.
Yeah.
But there's so like character-wise, this actually kind of worked back on some people being pissed at him at this point. Yeah, he had this sort of crisis of conscience thing, so he's like, you know what? Look, all they could have Chris, but leave me alone. And the man like literally run away in his suit, right?
Right.
And then afterwards, like, shit, fuck, right? And then he actually goes back to save him, right? And yeah, this is basically his chance of redemption, right? And he just start to blast his shit out to these MNU soldiers, right? And boy, again, this is pretty much saying, look, I want to make a video, a movie out of a shooter. This is me showing you. This is what I could do, Drake. Yeah, this scene is badass, right? I love, and as you say, it had. I forgot this is the movie. The man used the real Half-Life shit. He used the gravitational pull from the gun from the mech and pull a pig because he used it as a weapon. Exactly. What? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, you buy into it because this is his, Vicus's true moment of redemption, right? So yeah, you are on board with him just blasting shit out of people, right? It make a lot of sense, right? So while all this is going on now the mothership activates his gravitational beam and it pulls up that same ship, right?
Yeah, the tractor beam, Right.
Yeah, tractor beam, right? They actually managed to take down the mech suit now, and then you see Vicus crawling.
Okay, so you have one part. Is a guy who uses the chain gun. He yells something in Afrikaans, but I forget that guy's a friend. He's like a close friend who show up in all the movies. That the sniper. They also had a sniper guy in the helicopter. That's a pretty cool scene.
Oh,
things like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I forget who it is, but I forget who they get. There's little friends in these little action sequences, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should look up the name too, right? So yeah, but then you see Vicus now while he's crawling, right? Because Kubas comes and literally about to kill him, right? Literally going to shoot him in the head, right? And you see that the man the left side of the body completely turned, right? And even right now to his eye, the eye looking close to getting yellow now. It's yellowish at this point, right? But then in a nice piece of writing now, you see some nearby aliens gang up on Kubas, right?
Yeah,
and Kubas is being an asshole at this point. He shoot two of them, but then a whole bunch of others just gang up on him and swear to God, they tear him apart. And, that talk about poetic justice, right? Yeah.
And that was it. When we see them things do that, humans can't do that.
Exactly.
That's why they had to be. That means they had to be stronger, much stronger than an average human. As they put something akin to chimpanzees. Yeah, chimpanzees are very dangerous and much stronger than a human. So it's like that. Yeah. I just assume something like that here.
Right, but beauty of this scene now, and kind of the sad aspect of the scene too.
Oh yeah, we do the part with the rocket launcher. Did you do that yet?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't mention the rocket launcher. Oh shit, yeah. There's a great shot.
That's the height of the action sequence where he barely the suit was more or less smashing up, and the fella was trying to fire a rocket at the ship to take it down.
Yeah, and it's just when he catches that thing.
Yeah, he gets it. That looked great. That
looked awesome. I was like,
very impressive.
Yes.
That looked just the timing. That looked real good.
Yeah,
just a good sequence. You could tell a lot of the film just leading to that shot. It looked great.
That looked great, right? But yeah, back to the shot of the aliens ripping up our Kubas, right? If you notice, it's top down, right? So it's almost like if you see it from this news helicopter. Right. So if it was from a news helicopter, though, imagine when they put that out on the news now, they say, "Oh, you see those aliens? Look at how savage they are. They're literally ripping humans in shreds, right?" But it's ironic though because the MNU was way more brutal than how they were. At this point, right?
That's your point, yeah.
Right. So Chris activates the mothership now because he's actually inside, right? He and his son, right? And the mothership actually leaves, right? I love that you see the shot of you see a bunch of people celebrating, oh my God, it's finally gone, yay! And that's where the mockumentary format returns, right? So what are the interviewees from before, right? I think it's this reporter that they keep cutting back to. He questions now, what will happen when Chris returns? I like that as a question.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, will it be to save his people in District 9? Will it be to wage war on humanity? Will he return at all? We don't know.
Right.
Yeah. And then in the pre-closing credits now, we learned that for Diswa, that's Vicus's understudy.
Right, he unlock everything.
Yeah, he was exposing what we learned was this illegal genetic research program by the MNU, and the man got arrested for that, right? So, get it to the end now. District 9 is demolished now, and the aliens are moved to District 10, right? So, that was a hint of a potential sequel, right? But in the end, I'll tell you all why I don't think this show needs a sequel at all, right? But anyway, the final two scenes are great, right? It is so poignant, right? But they're great, right? So you see Vickers' now ex-wife, right, talking about this plastic rose that was left at the front door, right? So,
right.
And she says that her friend said that she should throw it away because it's a piece of rubbish, right? And then the last shot that you see is an alien creating this rose, right?
Right, it's implied to be.
Yeah, it's implied to be Vickers, right?
Strongly implied to be Vickers,
yeah. But here's what makes it even more sad, right? This is just me reading into it, right? Did this shot happen before the wife found the rose, right? We don't know. But what makes it even more sad is that, not just that along with the fact that Vickers is a full alien now, right? And he just looking through garbage for food, like all the other aliens in District 10, right? But the idea that this could have happened after the ex-wife's interview. So in other words, she may have taken her friend's advice and thrown the rose away. And he found it in that rubble. Or it could have been that he created it before and said
at that point, yeah.
At that
you
point.
Don't know. Right.
Yeah, we don't know. And it's a sad way to edit, but for me, it's a truly fitted way to, is a truly fitted way to end this movie, right? But it's so sad though when you really think about it, right? But I'll just get to the sequel thing and then I'll get to my last thoughts, right? So yeah, for me, I like a lot of people, I was like, District 10, we need a District 10, right? But over the years, and because I was thinking a lot more about the end of that scene, the end of the movie there, I was like, no, that's really not necessary because, in the back of your mind, you think, Chris said he coming in 3 years, so that'll be...
Right. I mean, it's kind of like The Matrix, right? The Matrix is a movie that ended, a lot of people say it had a perfect ending, and you didn't need sequels, the first Matrix. And I don't fully agree with that, but I get why you might say that, especially...
They were hinting at a sequel in the first movie, yeah? They did a few times.
But that's the thing, you could have, a lot of people say no, it actually had a perfect ending as it was. Like you could have with your idea, but some people say no. I'm in the camp that think no, you not necessarily need the sequels, but the sequels could work. And because in retrospect, a lot of people don't really care for the sequels, they get to see it. And it strengthens their point, which I could understand why. Same thing with District 9, right? It's one of these movies that a lot of people, I'm sure if they brought out District 10 in 2012 or whatever it is, a lot of people would have been like, it wasn't that good, or it was about as good as, say, Elysium. Like, if we got District 10 instead of Elysium, but it was the same quality as Elysium, a lot of people would have said, I didn't need the sequel. And, you get to say that bullshit after the fact, so on and so forth, right? Normal thing. Whatever happened, you get to speak from the result, right? Which is one of the most disingenuous things you could do, but, that's how people just talk and think anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I'm in the camp that just think I wouldn't mind still seeing a sequel. I, as a fan of the franchise, already wrote a sequel, a little bit treatment. Yeah. So on, so forth. Like, what will be the plot line? What you could do? Where you could go, and what could be the big plot conceits? World building, as I said, it have still a couple of nitpicks here or there. In terms of the world building. For me, the big one, where are the Americans in this? Like, I think the Americans would jump into this. Like, is MNU so powerful as a company that the American government directly won't jump into something like this? Like, in my humble opinion, they would have moved all of them aliens to the States or something like that. Like, they wouldn't leave them there in the public to be, messed around with random Nigerian mercenaries or whatever it is. Like, and so on and so forth. Like, I felt, the world building would have changed a little different. Again, these are minor nitpicks because it goes against the general theme of what Blomkamp was going for, I think.
Exactly. But I thought in Neil's defense, he would have want everything to be, prominently South Africa, right? So it's a South African sci-fi film.
But I felt they could have done something like, Yeah, but I felt they could have still done something like the EU or some kind of internationalism kind of thing to play with it. But again,
the only thing they mentioned was UIO. That's what they mentioned with,
right?
I think they were the ones who came up with the idea of not with District 9 in the first place, but the idea of evicting them and giving them the notice.
Right, exactly.
They were the one who came with that policy in the first place. I think so. Yeah.
Right, to represent that. But the problem is that, because of the weapons, like, again, you would let these alien weapons be arbitrary, in the hands of random Nigerians like that. The world building doesn't make sense. And
that's true.
And again, I don't think these are necessary plot holes, but they're discrepancies big enough that I think you needed to address them in some meaningful way. And I don't think we ever got that, at least not to me. I saw Blomkamp in some interview or something like that. I'm sure you can find online who said so and addressed it, probably. I don't know. But yeah, that's about it. I really love this movie. It's I have no problem saying it's a modern sci-fi classic. It still holds up really well. really, 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 really poignant. It works really well for what it's trying to do. And again, given the budget, it's kind of great. Like, that factors in a lot in terms of like why a movie like it. Because this movie could easily be $150 million. Easy.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not. It's more like $36 million or something like that.
Well, I'm actually reading on the Wikipedia right now, it's $30 million. Not 30.
Right, or even lower, right? It's like that, right? So you get your bang for your buck, and it's one of these. We get into these weird arguments of why movies so expensive and why especially with the MCU. Some of them recent MCU projects. You're wondering if it's a make for work program they're doing. Them kind of thing. Like, why these things so expensive and yet so crappy. As it is, especially Ant-Man and what do you call it, Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion,
right?
God.
Yeah, that shit was like super expensive and it's so bad though. Yeah. Like, so you're wondering like where the money going, them kind of thing. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Final thoughts and ratings. Let's get into my thoughts, right? So for me, as far as the sequel goes, if they, alright, I would put it like this: if they had decided to do one, it would make sense to focus on Vickers, because like at this point his story is done. That's it. Right. That's how it ends. You know what I mean? Very, very dour, but that's the point of it, right? He kind of pays for his xenophobia. He becomes the very thing, the thing that he had despised and looked down upon for years, right? That's the point of it, right? It could have played with Chris returning and saving his people. It could have played on that, but I feel to make it work, honestly, you would have to get another human character for us to root for, and that would have been pretty interesting, but kind of difficult to pull off, I guess. But that's why for me, I think the story is just it ending the way it is perfect. You don't need to continue it any further. But if they did, that's how I felt they could have done it. Just focus on a new character, right? That being said, though, right? This movie blew me away the first time I saw it. And just for me, what I really got the sense of how big a deal this movie was, right, was when it got nominated for 4 Oscars. Best adapted screenplay, rightfully deserved. Best visual effects, rightfully deserved. Best film editing, rightfully deserved. But when I see best picture, I was like, what? This unapologetic sci-fi action film, right? With people getting blown up with video game style weapons, get nominated for best picture. That is a big deal. And especially even more so as sci-fi, because that many sci-fis get or genre films as a whole get nominated for best picture. But something like this, I was like, what? Nah, this is huge. This is huge,
Yeah, no, they're selling that conceit really well. And this is the time when The Dark Knight came out, and so even that, things were stepping up in terms of the quality of the films now, and whatnot. And again, right before is around the time where the MCU was now taking off. So that kind of, to be fair, I think a lot of that kind of, I don't think for better or for worse, the MCU does suck a lot of the oxygen in the room in terms of like a lot of where the talent went and where the money and the attention went. Like if the MCU didn't exist or we didn't have the MCU as big as it was, even though I love the MCU, we'd probably get some more interesting stuff coming out of other people, other actors who do other things and so on and so forth. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But just continue my last thoughts, right? But for me, this movie continues to impress me. It continues to inspire me. For one thing, I just love the fact that it is a predominantly South African cast. And this, I imagine, said so much to many filmmakers around the world. So much screenwriters around the world, right? Because again, we always use, when it comes to sci-fi, it has to have the American lead and all that kind of stuff, right? But in this case, like, no. It's pure South African actors and whatnot, right? It's African people telling a story that's set in Africa, right? I did read after the fact that this, a couple of critics kind of accuse the show of doing the whole white savior thing, but in the show's defense,
a little bit.
I would understand that if it was like an American or European guy playing the lead, but no, character in the lead, but no, it's a South African white man, and I think it makes sense in that context because at the end of the day, despite all the alien stuff and the tech stuff and the weapon stuff, it is about apartheid. It is about racism. I like that it doesn't beat you over the head with it too. It is serious at times, but oftentimes it's like gleefully just embracing its video game, violence, all that kind of stuff. When the violence goes down, it goes down. Though shit gets hard in this, right? That's one thing I love about, well, what we're going to call the dystopian trilogy, right? Yeah, just how grim these stories are, but just how violent they are, right? They pull absolutely no punches, right? They're pure, hard R-rated films. There's a lot of violence and stuff like that, but it works, right? But I love that Neill always has, like, self-control, right? With his scripts, because, yes, he wrote these stories, right? And also points for him getting his wife to co-write this, though. Like, we need more husband-wife screenwriters, man. Like we need more of that shit, right? But anyway, he does not let the spectacle get in the way of what the story really is about, right? And yeah, it's just touching on a really dark time in world history, right? But again, just framing it within the lens of sci-fi was just amazing to me, right? Not original, mind you, right? But in this context, what was truly mind-blowing to me, right? And it's showing off all these great visual effects, right? Like that would really amaze me as well, right? So yeah, for me, hands down, this is one of the best sci-fi action movies I've ever seen. One of my top favorite sci-fi movies as well, right? I'm not gonna rank them or see.
Oh no, yeah, I put this in my top 10 though. I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
Yeah, I put this in
what I will say though, just wrap things up. This is one of my favorite movies of the 2000s, like hands down, and this came out in 2009. Let's look at that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, rating wise, strong 4.5 out of 5. This is and again, this is Neill's debut feature film. Talk about kicking off your career on a strong.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
I mean, it was a good start. It was supposed to be Halo, but it ended up being this. This was like a great start to your career. And regardless how you feel about Neill's career, I mean, I think he's one of those guys. What happens is that he just kind of don't want to play ball with the big studios. So that's why he. His stuff don't really come out as well as it could. Like, sorry to say it, if you're fighting with the studios, there's always be a problem.
That's true.
Always be a problem. I was always think of Joseph Padilla and RoboCop. Like, that could have been so much better, and he just had no control. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's just wrap it up here, right? So yeah, I mean, I can imagine the show continuing to inspire filmmakers and screenwriters, right? And especially there's the idea that, look, you could, again, this is the main takeaway for me with this, right? You could be, or in my case, you could be Trinidadian dread and still use genres that aren't usually associated with our film, so to speak, and tell great stories, right? Yes, we will have to talk about budgets and, resources, but that's another story for another day. But still, it's the idea that, hey, I could tell these kind of stories in my hood, in my home, in my environment, right? Still inspires me. I know that it will inspire millions of filmmakers and screenwriters, years from now, right? But I'll close this, right? It's unfortunate, though, that the other films in this trilogy, that will be Elysium and Chappie, will be compared to those. Because, admittedly, they are steps down, right? But I do admire the craft and the thought that went into it. I felt, even though I do praise Chappie, I do brag that over Elysium, both films could have, work better. They could have done the world building a lot better, right? But again, it's just grounding it in reality. I feel that's where it really works, and that's where this trilogy really stands out from a lot of other dystopian sci-fi, in my opinion, right? And I really think that Neill really nails it with this sort of gritty, down-to-earth approach to just fantastical sci-fi conceits and whatnot, right? But yeah, Neill is a guy that I'm gonna continue to look out for as far as his films go. Yes, Gran Turismo is on to watch with, so I'll watch that for sure. Yeah. And I think that this man could carve out a really solid, filmography, man. You know what I mean? No mind that there was one demonic that kind of sucked, so I've heard, but I don't really know anything about it. But I think that if he just sticks to what he knows and what he loves and whatnot, and still take these creative risks, this man could carve out a great filmography, man. So that's all I have to say. But your final thoughts, rating, and where you see Neill's work in the future, and where you see this film being regarded years from now.
Yeah, rated 9 out of 10. I do think this will hold up as a classic. It's really good. Like, there's a lot of valid critiques against it in terms of, like, the perspective. And look, Neill himself is a white South African, so, it's all of that, right? Especially in the context of Elon Musk existing, right? He's one of those people who, legacy-wise, he could have had a lot more pull and sway and power from a creative standpoint, because he is a really strong creative voice.
As I said, Elon Musk. Funny enough, while I was watching Elysium, I thought about him.
Yeah, straight up.
He would be one of the people who would live there, right? But sorry.
No, I was thinking, who's the actor by who was the bad guy in this? Will it Fitch? William Fitch, I think. That straight up that character, whoever.
Yeah.
But the conceit of it really works. Great film. Yeah, 9 out of 10. I rate this really high. It is in my top 10 sci-fi films ever.
Nice,
I rate it quite high for me.
I know. Like I was watching this film, I know Ricardo was he loved the shit out of this. Right? Like,
Back when it came out,
just seeing that you could tell sci-fi stories at home. Just that. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. It was a movie that really got me into filmmaking for the most part, mostly because of just the practicality of it. It's like, oh shit, 35 million, we get that? All right, that sounds like something I could get to, in a workable sense, that kind of stuff, right? But yeah, at the time it was that, and it's sad that we don't get more stuff. As I said, I would love to see Neill Blomkamp just have him just do more sci-fi stuff, just more sci-fi action. Like he would be my first pick to direct or to lead or to we could show run something like a Mass Effect TV series or something like that. Like if it was up to me, or like if they do a Half-Life TV series or something like that, right? If they were to pull this off and make it work, yeah, they could do that and tell that story. So yeah, that's me for that. 9 out of 10. Love this movie. It's a classic.
Yeah. Well, two things, right? Well, one thing and a question, right? So, one thing, I hope that the failures, quote unquote, of Elysium and Chappie does not, steer Neill off the sci-fi route. Because I think that, the man could be like this, legendary, sci-fi filmmaker, similar to like how David Cronenberg is a legendary horror filmmaker, right? But again, it's just a response to Elysium and Chappie, unfortunately, right?
As I say, you had to give. My thing with these guys is that you had to give them a project, but you have to keep them in a workable check. So regardless how you feel about Disney and Marvel, they understood how to keep the filmmakers in check in terms of controlling the material, right? For better or for worse, we get something unfortunate like the first Ant-Man, but that ended up coming out like a decent project anyway, as a final project, and it's so on and so forth, right? As I said, if even if you're hating on him, Zack Snyder, I still think has a lot of potential and sway if you want to make a movie out of them, but you have to keep them in check. Just keep them, make sure their aesthetics work. Like again, if it was up to me, I'd just give Zack Snyder Gears of War, like Gears of War, give him to do Gears of War and see what he can do. Because to me, Gears of War is straight up just 300 with guns. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Just do that. Whatever. But it's so on and so forth, right? It's pretty much that. You can just tell these stories. And, it's what they had to do with it. But, it's where budget's going and how the industry is in a weird space. Again, a sense that the industry resetting itself, or at least Marvel themselves resetting itself, after COVID and where money going. And, they I think for understand Disney Marvel and MC make a ton of cash this year. They crossed, because of Deadpool and Wolverine. They crossed a total of $3 billion overall. It's like, that's good money. That return into norm now for the most part. And so is that, right? Right. Get serious about it and get the right talent to work with it. And I can see this happening. Yeah. So that's me about that.
And question, there's just one question before we move forward. Seeing that, you have this in your top 10 as far as great sci-fi movies go. Yeah, how do you see this movie, holding up? Do you think it will continue to inspire, filmmakers and screenwriters, to embrace sci-fi and tell great stories in sci-fi,
probably. It's one of those movies. I don't think it's like a lightning in a bottle movie or anything like that. It is a movie that I think other people could, once you give them the chance, they could do. Or do something like it again. They just need a budget and they need the actual time and talent and the writing, Sorry to say it, but you can't just anybody and anybody can just do this, right? You have to sit down with it and make it work and get the appeal. That's what make this work is the South African appeal. And South Africa have a big film industry and it is not like Neill Blomkamp is some nobody in a corner somewhere, right? You need a whole industry and you need these things to build on itself. It's a whole, what you call it, an iceberg to look for. And right, people could just think they just do something. They can't just up and do it. Just so. To borrow from a certain politician, he ain't fallen out of a coconut tree, right? So, is that. I can see this being a big deal going forward. So, is that.